Hey guys, Eydin here. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's TXHogDude. And today we're covering the Umarex Javelin. And guess what? Yes, it's an air gun, but it doesn't shoot pellets. This baby shoots arrows. So what I'm gonna do is take you over here. We set up a little table and we're gonna shoot some targets out here in the woods. What I wanna do is go over and cover some of the features that we have on here. This thing is really, really cool. So come on, let's go do it. All right, this is my favorite part. I get to tell you about all the features on this. And this actually has some pretty good features. So starting at the back, we just slide it back. You got an adjustable buttstock. Almost everything nowadays, you can adjust it. So depending on the size of the person that's shooting it, you can make it longer, you can make it shorter. Works out great. Pistol grip. This pistol grip actually feels nice. Helps you hold it pretty stable. If I pull this out in this position here, feels really stable and I can keep it on target. When you move up from the pistol grip here, we have the safety, which the safety is right by your finger here. The one thing with the safety is you can't reach it with your thumb on the opposite side. So when you get ready to fire, you just press this thing in and then you're ready to fire. Once you pull the trigger, it has to be cocked again before you can fire it and load another bolt inside there. So we can push it back in from the opposite side. The one thing about the bolt is it's ambidextrous. I can move it from to the left side or on the right side. All you have to do is unscrew it and then screw it back in on the opposite side. Line up the screws and the threads and you're good to go. Moving up on top here, as we're kind of moving forward, it does come with a set of peep sights on it. I recommend if you're going to do any hunting with this, at least get yourself a red dot or go out there and get yourself an optics. You probably just need a 3x zoom on your optic or a 3x or something like that. And it's a Picatinny rail, so you can place it anywhere along in here, or if you want some custom peep sights, you can do that also. Along the sides here, there's an M-LOK, and I like the M-LOKs down the side because there's a lot of things that you can actually attach to that, and I'll show you how I kind of set up my hunting gun here in a second. So moving down from here, we go down to this. This is the cylinder cover, and all we do is slide that off. You press the button right there, that exposes the cylinder, and I'm going to start releasing it. So I'm going to twist the cylinder. And I'll start to hear a little bit of air come out. I can hear it leaking a little bit. I bleed off the excess that's inside there. Cylinder off there. Then what I'm going to do is go ahead and take a brand new one. Line this thing back up. Spin it the opposite direction. And there's kind of a guide. If you look along here along the bottom, that guide kind of lines you up to make sure you're perpendicular, so you're actually lined up with where the threads are. All right, and I could hear it charge through there. All right, so now I got the cylinder loaded back up. You can feel it when you hear it. You'll actually hear the charge of the air come out of the cylinder, and it goes right into here where the manifold is, and you can actually hear the air charge up inside of here where it holds the charge. So as soon as I get done with that, I want to slide the cylinder cover back over the end, and it just locks right back in place. Once you lock it in place, you're good to go. One thing I will tell you is when you get out in the cold weather, so if you're hunting anything under like about 70 degrees, 65 degrees, this area here is where you want to keep warm. So if you have it wrapped up with something, if you have those hand warmers or foot warmers that you have, you can put that down here, maybe put some camo tape around it or something, and that'll actually keep the cylinder warm, and it'll actually keep the manifold warm that's right here, so it actually charges up into here. Because this area here, after you fire it a couple times, you'll start to feel this cool down. On a day like today, I don't really need it, but if it's really cold outside, you're hunting, sub 65, sub 70, somewhere in that area, you can warm it up. But that's if you're shooting a lot of shots right in a row. If you're just going out for one shot, obviously temperature affects the pressure inside the cylinder. So what do we do from here? I got this thing loaded up, it's charged up, ready to go. The arrows they're 14 inches, or the bolts are 14.8 inches long. So on the front of the gun here, you can see this little air tube. You just line it up over the top and slide it down. So once we slide it down in this position, if you don't lock it in, the arrow will slide off the end. When I say lock it in, there's a little O-ring down there. When you press, it just locks into position. Now, if you are using a broadhead, make sure you're careful, because down here on the end will be a broadhead. You'll have to reach up high here and push it back into position until it pops in place, or you can push it against a tree or whatever you want to do while you're out there. So right now I've got it loaded up. I've got the gun ready to go. Fresh tank. All I have to do is charge it, take the safety off, put it down range on target, and I'm good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and charge it. Take the safety off, and that's how it works. Again, I'll put the safety on. Make sure you always have the safety on before you load your arrows. I think that's important. And then on top of that, make sure you don't pre-charge it prior to putting your arrows on. Those are just some safety tips that you guys have out there. Other than that, that's the features of the gun. Super light. You can walk around with this thing all day long. Probably the lightest thing that you'll see out there on the market, just in any gun in general. It feels nice. It's got a great shape. I love the way this thing performs, and it's really simple to use. And how many shots do you get out of it? Approximately 30. So it depends. Depends on if it's a cold day or if it's a really hot day. If it's a really hot day, this baby's screaming coming out of here. On the next segment here, what I'll do is go ahead and talk about, we'll just see actually how fast this thing is shooting. How many feet per second is this baby putting out? All right, so you're probably wondering, how fast does this thing shoot? It is using a CO2 cylinder. So for power with 88 grams of CO2, what I'll do is do a 3-shot string, run it on a chronograph, and then tell you exactly what we get. We'll kind of get an average out of there. I said 320 feet per second, so we're gonna be right in that area. The temperature today is probably about 65 degrees, somewhere in that area. So what I wanna do when I make sure when I'm loaded again is make sure that that safety is on, so it should be protruding on the shot side of the gun, or your finger side of the gun. And then on top of here, make sure there's a little pressure, make sure it's not cocked. And then from there, I just go ahead and take the bolt, slide it over the tip, make sure it knocks into position. Look how easy this thing charges. One hand, pull it back, it's good to go. Safety off. Let's see what the first one brings. "333 feet per second. That's on the first one. So safety back on. Always keep this gun pointed down range. Okay, lock it back in place. Cock it. "332 feet per second. We're hanging pretty tight there. I like that. I like it a lot. Load up another area. Oh, I gotta make sure I put the safety back on. I'm not charging it yet. Make sure it presses in on the end. I feel that little bit of resistance. It kind of pops onto there. Good to go. Rack it. Safety off. "320 feet per second. So with the 3-shot string, we shot 333, 332, and 320 feet per second. So that's about the range we're gonna get, somewhere in that area. 320, it'd be about 325 feet per second roughly. After you put a fresh tank in there, it's good. This thing is absolutely awesome. Make sure I put my safety back on. God, this thing's amazing. The best thing I like about it is the fact of the weight. I can't get over how light this thing is and performance-wise. And this thing's accurate. The grouping on them is pretty darn good. So let me show you real quick to kind of wrap this thing up. Let me show you what my hunting rig, what it looks like. And this is the prototype I had here. We got a quiver on the side so I can carry it with arrows. It does add a little bit of weight to it. On top of that, with an optic added to the top, this is a 3-time magnification on top. I like this, and I put the charging bolt on this side here so I can charge it with my left hand as I'm holding it with my right hand. So that's kind of how it looks from there. I got my broadheads and a safety cover up in the front. This is my hunting rig. I did take a pig with it, about 65-pound pig. Shot him right from the front. It worked amazing. He went about 25 yards and went down. That's perfect. So what you guys need to do is go in and check it out. You guys are gonna see this. It's the Air Javelin. The Air Javelin. You guys have got to go check this dude out. It's well worth the money, and it's absolutely amazing. Plus it runs on CO2. All right, with that, you guys have fun slinging lead.